Several months ago, I was invited to preach at one of the churches in the Southwest District where I am the district superintendent. I was preaching from a text in Matthew's Gospel on the wheat and the weeds. And a portion of that text talks about how the enemy waited for those who were charged with keeping watch over the master's field to get tired and to fall asleep. I then went on to say that the enemy waited until they were not woke before coming in and planting bad seeds or seeds that would produce weeds among the wheat. After the service, the pastor and I recessed and stood at the doors of the sanctuary in the Northex and to greet people as they left. And I noticed that many people would not look at me and refuse to shake my hand. Later, as the pastor and I were walking towards my car, I spoke to two men who were standing along the sidewalk. I would later find out that they had stationed themselves. And as I greeted them, one of them lit into me. He said that people came to church to hear about peace and love and God and not hear about politics. And I could tell one of the men was angry because he was not just red, but he was beet red from his neck all the way up to the hairline in his forehead. And the man who was beet red proceeded to tell, not to ask, but to tell me, both and me and the pastor, that we were Democrats. The pastor stepped in and said I was his guest and they were being disrespectful. But then I said to the pastor, no, it's okay. I'm more than willing to have this conversation, because when you have been in the presence of the holy, you can take your agency in this world and relate to people in a truthful and authentic, not a harmful way, but a truthful and authentic way. You learn how to take your authority, to walk in your agency. All of this eventually led to a meeting a couple weeks later where it came out that they considered me to be demonic, and they never wanted me to come back to their church, and certainly never to preach in their pulpit again. And I shared with them that on the one level, as the district superintendent of the Southwest District, I would never give up the right to visit one of the churches in my district. But I would never come back because of their lack of hospitality. And because they didn't know their Bibles. One of the worst things that can happen is that a church can be guilty of lacking hospitality. They didn't know because they did not know their Bibles. They did not know to be insulted. Not because I was trying to be mean, but what I was trying to do was help them to understand that hospitality is what we do. Even when we are in disagreement with one another, we are still hospitable towards one another. That is a mark of what it means to be followers of Jesus Christ. We can disagree, but we are still kind, and we are still gracious, and we are still loving.